Hello, welcome to take 3 of the Quick E for IGManager TV on January 31st, 2013. In this video, we're going to go over the IGManager's .NET handheld application called IGMterm. And as you can see, the screen is red, so that means this is for dealers only. If you're a customer or a user of IGManager, you can go ahead and watch it. But don't make any changes based on the information contained in here, because you can mess up your system. And we don't want that to happen. So once I get my focus where it needs to be, and there is the message. This information is support personnel only. Legal stuff out of the way, now we're here. The IGManager.net IGMterm Quickie. This is the IGManager.net application came about because we have a wholesaler, MDI, is dual-purposing their ordering units to also work as the handheld unit for the back office. And since IGManager is the best back office in the world, we talk to it too. Our original plan with the handheld was to use just the mini browser that's in the handheld and use a mini HTML server that we have inside of IGManager to handle the communications, and we'd be happy. In reality, that didn't work very well in the store, so we had to come up with plan B, and that is to write a .NET based application that can run on the terminal. When we developed it, we used the same basic connection that we use for our Android based terminal app, which just so happens to be going through its initial releases as we speak too. Now just a little bit, I can't actually show you any screens on this unit through this system, but I'm going to give you just a little bit of information of what has to be out there. MDI, after we get this all finalized, we'll have a way to make this automatically load up on the terminal. But on the handheld like this and most other ones, they have some place that you can put files that will remain after a cold boot. And so in this case, the Falcon has a directory off of the root called flash disk. Now if you want to get there, you do start, program files, Windows Explorer, and flash disk. When you get there, you're going to see that we have two things we need to have in there. One, obviously, the IGMterm, which is the program that runs the IGMterm. Hey, imagine that. And a folder called sounds. Here is where we're going to store the beep sound that we're going to use and the letters, not the letters, the numbers that we use for speaking the price. Now to use the program, it's pretty simple. It's IGMterm, host IP, and then the port number. Now, as we found out, even the day I'm recording this, if you're going to make a batch file to start the terminal, make sure you do a / flash disk or wherever this is to make sure that you are in that directory. Apparently the path doesn't include the current directory if you just double click on it. So flash disk and then IGMterm, IP, and port. Now IP is obviously the IP of the computer running IGManager FM. That's simple. Port, a little bit different. Now, remember, we use the the communication we developed for Android to use for this terminal. So we use the Android port logic. The Android port logic is basically 600 plus the terminal number minus 1. So that means that terminal 1 is going to be 6,000. Sorry. Terminal 2 would be 6001. Terminal 3 6002. Now, at this level, we are not forcing you to put in a terminal number. You can pick any term. It would make sense that you should follow the same logic with your Falcons, so that terminal 1 is going to connect to 6,000. Terminal 3 would connect to 6,002. That way, if you do add an Android terminal for like a temporary thing for an inventory or something, you make that terminal number 2. He'll pick the right port and you won't end up with any collisions. Okay? One of the nice things about writing for .NET is that as long as we're on a Windows-based platform that has the .NET framework installed, which is basically every computer on the planet, we can run the terminal app. That's great because if we're having trouble having our terminal talk, we can go to a Windows computer on the network, run the IGMterm, and see if we can connect. If you're going to do that, in order for it to work properly, you have to have a flash disk folder off of the root directory, just like it would be on the Falcon. If you don't, the program will run, but it's going to come up with errors every time it tries to make a noise. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to meander over to flash disk directory. Here the command line, I'm going to do IGM term, my IP address. Has to be an IP address. We can't resolve names. There were some issues with names being resolved incorrectly, so it's actually an IP address. I'm going to be 6000, which would be Android terminal number 1. All right. So the first thing that's going to pop up, and of course on my screen it's coming in the middle, but it would be in the middle of whatever little screen you have. This little hello message, and all this is saying, hey, I'm going to connect to 192.168.5.229 and on port 6000. That's just to tell you. If you run IGM term without any parameters, you're probably going to see something that looks like that because it's going to default. If these aren't right, obviously you have something wrong in your command prompt. So I'm going to go and say OK, and here's my term. One thing I notice, it looks like it ain't doing much, because it isn't. It doesn't do anything until we try to talk. So until we press any of these buttons, nothing's happening. It's just sitting here staring at you. So just like with the Android terminal and the Worthingtons, the first thing I always do when I pick up the handheld is I hit reset. 'Cause I don't know what it was doing when it was put down. So I hit reset. And you heard that lovely shimmering beep. And here is our normal screen that we see on the Worthington, the Android, and everything else. So at this point, the operation at the terminal is exactly the same as all the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and enter. Price verify, quick check mode. I don't care. Let's go to 3. Item number 3.
$199.
Okay, so it speaks the price, $199. Goes off. Now if I bring up 1, which I just noticed.
$179.
Now he announced 179, but is showing 209. Well, that's the way the other terminals work. They announce the regular price, but then bong, as you heard, and then show you the sale price. I see that that's an error. We should be seeing both, but we're going to continue. So what do I got here? All right. Now, on the handheld terminal, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, which would be over here if we were looking at it, there will be a Windows icon that you can bring up the other windows. If you do that, you will see the command prompt that is running behind your terminal app, and that's where we have some debug messages. And as we can see here, if I wait and ramble long enough, we're going to get another heartbeat here. We do heartbeat, and that's to keep IGManager and the terminal all happy with each other. And I'm going to just one more moment here. I'm going to go ahead and hit reset again. Now if we look at our debug, let me mark it for you. See, there's playing flash disk sounds B1 wave. If the shimmering beep is not good, we can put we have another set of beeps that are just basically a bong, 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 like Windows. Or if you want to, if you're doing it yourself on a terminal, you could make that a dough from Simpsons or something else if you want to personalize it. So that's how we can change those beeps in the sounds folder. All right. Now, all right, that's my note of what I'm supposed to do next. So I'm going to go ahead, and this happened last time when I tried to do this. Give me a sec here. If I highlight something on that screen, it doesn't like it. There we go. Much better. All right, are you responding? There we go. All right. So I'm going to hop over to my FM program. Now normally your FM program is not set up with pretty little windows are all on top of each other. What I'm doing here is I just brought up, and I already have it laid out, showing me all my interfaces for my Win terms. And I have it set up for I can take 3 terminals. And here's terminal 1 talking. Notice it's 6000 is the port. 6001 for terminal 2, 6002 for terminal 3. And we can see him talking. Now what my screen talks about is how long this can take if there's no connection, if we lose connection for some reason. I'm going to go ahead and hit reset. And if we watch our debug, it tried to connect out. I'm going to get pushy and try to do it again. And then we're going to get this lovely little mini error because we got a little bitty screen. So we're just going to say communication error. Check network, check IGM host. Those are the 2 things that could go wrong. So I'm going to do that. Now if we look down here on our screen, it says heartbeat skipped. Once we have a communication error, we are not going to do anything else. Okay? We're going to sit here until you tell us to do something. Now that timeout there could be long or short depending on the device's internal Windows mumbo jumbo. In the future, we might look at making that a programmable timeout of like 5 or 10 seconds. But for right now, we're leaving Windows to do it by itself. So now that we did that, now we have our terminal not talking. We know our network's okay because I happen to be on the same box. So the next thing we need to do is check the host, and that would be the FM program, which of course was not running. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. And of course it's starting to minimize, so I'm going to bring it up, and of course everything's on top of each other over here in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger. Dum da dum, dum da dum dum, dum da dum, dum. Don't care about him. That's terminal number 3. We'll move him over here. Here's terminal 2. Don't care about him yet. There we go, Android 1. All right, so here are all my terminals. There we go. So now they're all sitting there waiting. So if I go here to IBM Term and I hit reset, connection, and in this case, since FM reset, it would come back to this screen no matter what I pick, just like it would with the Worthington or the Android terminal. All right. So what am I supposed to say here? Okay, did that. Okay. Now, how do we get IGManager to start all these wonderful little terminal access points that we got here? Well, you can turn on the general gist of the WinTerms by going to interface option and saying start WinTerm server. Obviously, that's only going to turn it on. It's not going to set how many you got. You set how many you have in the lump INI right here. WinTerm equals Y, WinTerm license equals 3. WinTerm Y or N, obviously yes turns it on. If you're saying no, might as well stop watching the video now. And WinTerm license, you know, as of right now, we're not checking the number of licenses you have in here. This will change in the future once we solidify how all this is that everything is happy. I recommend 3 because that lets you have the terminal. A lot of times they have 2 ordering terminals. So I'll let you have the 2 ordering terminals. That gives you 1 extra one sitting there waiting for you to test from another computer if you're having trouble. So you have terminal 1 on 6000, terminal 2 on 6001, so you can have terminal 3 on 6002, so you can test that from another Windows computer. Because the first thing you're going to have is a connection issue that has probably nothing to do with IGManager. So it's great to have that already set up so you can test it. Alright, that's the extent of setting this sucker up. Alright. Like I said, this is the same. These guys, they even say it there, Win Android. So once you have this system up and running with terminal 1 being the Falcon for the NDI, if they want to add an Android-based terminal, they can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to go make sure my terminal is set up to not be terminal 1, or else I'm going to collide with the one I got. So I'm going to go ahead and say reset. And now you can see that terminal 2 has popped up, and you can see that this guy has a much more calm beep sound. Anyway, so, and they can coexist together, just like we can with the other things. So that's the general gist of the WinTerm for the Falcon MDI setup. Once again, if you're having trouble, obviously make sure both are working. Try to run the WinTerm from a command prompt on the same computer as FM or from a different computer to make sure you can connect through the network. If you still can't, watch the debug out on the handheld if you can get to it. It's going to tell you all these wonderful, weird exception stuff, which means nothing to you, but might mean something to me, so we can figure out what's going on. So, that's our quickie for the end of the month of January. We've got some more wonderful things coming out in the near future. Like I said, the Android tablet, it's out there on its first run out there. This is out there on its first run. We've got the whole back room getting ready to go out there for fun. So, keep your eye on the YouTube channel, and I will see you later.